Welcome to episode 6 of If You Can, I Can, dedicated to all the inspiring Islanders out there. Today, I am so honored to welcome someone who is very well known in our community. He's been featured in countless news articles across the country and on TV. Some call him the Shark Whisperer. And he has even had a documentary made about him called Passion Led Me Here out on YouTube. Most of his interviews are centered around his shark fishing, as they should be, but I want to focus on Chip the man and what has gone on behind the scenes to get him where he is today. Welcome, Chip Michalove.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here. It's really a pleasure to see you over here.
I'm so glad you're here. I really am. So we were neighbors back when you were in high school.
Yes.
And I always thought, he's so adorable and friendly and everything. And I would say now as an adult, you are probably one of, if not the nicest person I know.
Oh, gosh, what a compliment. Well, that's just because you don't know me well enough. But I really appreciate it.
It's a difference, true. But so early in your charter boat, when you were, just chartering fishing trips and everything, you took my boys and my husband out on some adventures.
Yeah.
And now we have become neighbors again. Are just like this
unbelievable. I couldn't believe when I moved down the street. I'm like, oh my gosh, these people are going to think they can't get rid of me. I just follow them all over the place. So
I know.
it's been wild. It's been a really crazy journey. Starting from scratch, really. I wasn't born into this type of profession, so it was just something I was obsessed with, and I just wanted to do since I was a little kid, and just kind of working my way up the chain and getting where I wanted to be.
So going to that, so you're a Kentucky boy, born in Kentucky.
Yes.
You moved here in 1989?
Correct.
With your mom, okay. Yep. And so I know Kentucky's special to you, but how did you feel about moving to the area? And just tell me a little bit. Were you excited? Or?
I was really, really excited. I hated leaving some family. I was about 13. I was about 13 when I moved here. And, I love the outdoors. I love the alligators, the birds, the fish. I think it's so amazing, this community we have. And even Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, and getting away from those gray winters in Kentucky where it's gray all year long. It's freezing cold. It's just depressing. So it was kind of nice to get away from that. I don't think there's any prettier place than Kentucky in the springtime, but those winter months are brutal. But I couldn't wait to get here and get started doing, chasing new critters around the neighborhood and fishing and just starting over.
Did you fish the lagoons when you were
I did. I fished the lagoons, but I really was fishing a lot on the beach. I was obsessed with sharks. And I remember before 8th grade, 9th grade, I was fishing on the beach before school, after school. And we were catching sharks off the beach. And back then it was a really big deal even to catch a little 2-foot shark off the beach. It was, everybody was stopping by and just couldn't believe, wait, that's fake. That's not a real shark. No, that's a real shark, I'm telling you. And so it started, a long time ago.
People are always fascinated with them.
They are.
So a quote that I love from your documentary is, behind every passion lies a purpose, and within that purpose lies identity. Where did you first develop, I know you moved here, as a young teenager, but where did you first develop your passion for sharks and all of that? And then how has your purpose in that shaped who you are now?
I was obsessed with sharks from a young age. Fuzzy Davis took me fishing when I was about 4 years old while my parents were here on vacation. And from there on out, I knew this is what I want to do. I'm obsessed with sharks. My dad would take me out to ponds and lakes and fish. And he would say, Chip, if you cast towards the bank, there's bass over here, there's this over here. And I had the treble hook on and I'm trying to catch these 50-pound carp that are swimming out in the middle of the lake. And he said, Chip, those are trash fish. I don't care. That's the biggest fish in this thing. I want to see that. I don't care about the bass. I want to catch that sucker swimming. So even back then, I didn't want what was popular. I kind of wanted to see the craziness. I wanted to see the Loch Ness Monster. And I think that kind of translated into the saltwater. When I started fishing here, there was a lot of obsession with king mackerel and redfish and cobia and stuff. And that was interesting. I have a lot of business from that, but I don't know. I was always into the largest, the craziest thing in there and just seeing what it was.
You like the challenge.
I like the challenge, and I think it's more interesting. I think
Yeah.
when we go to Africa, we don't want to see the aerial projectile squirrel or something. We want to see the lion. We want to see the baddest animal on that planet. And I think it kind of translates to the ocean as well. A lot of customers, they don't want to go out and catch redfish. Some of them do, a lot of them do, but the majority want to see the lion of the sea,
Yes.
the crocodile of our area, so to speak. So it's been positive. It's been good.
That's so cool. So you've been called tenacious by many people. Were you always that way, or is it really more geared towards sharks and that kind of a thing? And another question to top on top of that, do you talk about what drove you to never give up in your quest for finding the great white shark, even though you had countless failures?
Gosh, that we could sit here and talk that all night. I think it was, the best motivation there is when somebody says they're not there or you can't do it. Or I don't think there's anything better than that. And I heard that so many times. And back when I was in high school, I remember these turtles washing up on the beach with these big half moons cut. And those are tiger sharks eating those turtles. It was wintertime. And just from the bites, I knew, I was like, those aren't tigers. Those are great whites. I thought maybe we had one or two way out, 100 miles or 150 miles or way off the coast. And as through time, I'm thinking, I started putting a chart together on where they are, what they're doing down here, times a year. I would hunt down somebody's number that caught one in 1985 in Charleston, a commercial guy. I would say, what was the water temperature? What time of year was it? What we're using for bait? What, just going through it and just putting a chart together. And I just said, before I die, I'm going to catch one. Mm-hmm. And I just kept trying every winter and failing. And then all of a sudden, it hit me. And then I thought it was luck, and I went back 3 days later and got another one. I was like, you know what? I got it now. I think I got it down. And so the light bulb went off, and it's been an unbelievable whirlwind of opportunities. And it's been a dream come true, really.
I'm curious. I make up a line of questions, but I'm adding this one in here. Yeah. I'm curious. So, did you go to college?
I did not.
Okay. So when you were in high school, though, I'm curious. Were you analytical by nature?
I was a terrible student. My parents, Chip, you're going to college, and I told them the whole time, yes, I'm definitely going to college. Definitely, don't worry about me. And my grades were so awful. I hated school so much. Yeah. I can't tell you. Me going to high school was like, I'd rather spend a day in jail than go to high school. Like, that's what it was to me. I was just like, this is a waste of time. I could be fishing the beach right now. Mm-hmm. I could be on a boat. I could be at the beach playing volleyball. Like, I thought of all these different things I could be doing that I would enjoy more. But so afterwards, I knew I wanted to be a charter fisherman, but the odds were against me. It's a very competitive business to get into, and so it was tough, getting my foot in the door. And in fact, I bought my first boat without anybody knowing. I had to go out. I don't know how I got a loan to get a boat, and then I told them, down the road, a year later, what I was doing, and it just. Then my dad came forward and said, "You know what? I'll help you. Let's get this rolling." And
well, I find that so interesting because I think that's a really fascinating point. Mm-hmm. So you didn't love school necessarily, studying things and all that, but yet look how much studying and analyzing. Yes. So when you're passionate about something, it's not, you don't think of it as work necessarily. It's a different mindset.
It's completely different. Yeah. I've seen so many parents that say, Chip, my son is this and that, and he just needs to find his goal. And I was taught growing up that if you don't go to college, you're going to be a failure. You're not going to make any money. You're not going to do this. You're not going to hang out with the right crew. You're not going to, it's going to affect everything. And that's probably true to a degree. But I think if you're really focused on something and really driven and stay on it, I think you can,
you can do anything.
Yeah, you can really do anything. So I still recommend college, but I remember all those talks and, of just, you have to go. And so it's been kind of funny that it's worked out okay. I've been very fortunate.
Oh, absolutely. So another great quote from your documentary that spoke loudly to me about your mindset is, when you lose, you get a lot smarter. Yeah. And tell me what you mean by this as far as like what you do to grow on the days you quote unquote lose, and then how you prepare each day mentally for what is to come, because I'm sure there's a lot of intention and preparation and things like that.
Yeah, I'm a big believer that when you lose, you learn, and it makes you more driven. And I think that goes back to, I remember playing Little League, and, when we won the championship, everything's great. We're having a great time. But I remember losing the championship game, the next year, and I'm in the batting cages. I'm doing, just working so hard because you're so driven by losing. And I think there's maybe you can kind of put your head down and walk away, or you can say, you know what, this is going to make me a better person. I'm going to learn from this experience. And we learned a lot. I mean, we lost so much out there. The first 3 great whites I ever hooked, we lost. And I remember on the third one, I spiked my visor. I was so mad. I just spiked my visor. I said, God does not want me to catch a great white. I do this for a living. I shouldn't be losing fish like this. And we just kept losing them and losing them. And then, but I had to go back and figure out, how do I stop a 3,000-pound fish? Today's modern tackle does not have the standards that I need to put the brakes on an animal that large. So it just having to kind of go outside the box and figure out how to stop these fish. So through trial and error, through losing a lot, we overcame a lot of obstacles. And then that first one that we caught, the island packet didn't even believe us. They said, no, come on. I said, I'm telling you. They saw my post and they actually skipped on the story, which was even more motivating, thinking, all right, my own town doesn't even believe that I'm catching these things.
I'll show them.
Yeah, and then the next picture, I had my hand on the nose, and then it went nuts. Then I was like, oh, now I'm your best friend. Yeah, see how it works. So
that's funny. So a famous day, for you, January 17th, 2019.
Correct.
Was the day you set the all-time record for the most white sharks caught on rod and reel worldwide.
Yeah, that was wild. Yeah.
Well, so I know like everyone has talked about that. You've been interviewed and all of that. And I want you to talk on that. But I also want to talk to you about how it changed. How did that change you personally?
Oh, what do you do after that? I mean, after that day, I was like, you know what? Do we need to come out here anymore? I think I can retire. It doesn't get any better than this. It was amazing. I think it goes back to also what I just said about losing and learning. The way we discovered that was I went out and didn't catch anything, went out, didn't catch anything, went out and didn't catch anything. And what? This isn't. So then I had to go back to the drawing board. Okay, the water temperature's too cold inshore. I need to start thinking outside the box. What about this? And then I go back to old data where my other sharks were pinging in different areas. And there was an area I always wanted to try that I never tried. I said, you know what? We're going to leave at 4 a.m. and we're going to get there and we're going to see what happens. And within 45 minutes, we had one, and then another and another and another. And it was one of those days where we just didn't want it to end. We just like, son, stay up a little longer, please. This is so crazy. So it's,
so what were the numbers? So for people that don't know.
We hooked 7 great whites that day, and the largest one was not my largest one total, but the largest one that day I believe was 2,600 pounds, and it was a male, and it turned out to be the largest male white shark ever tagged in the Atlantic. So it was crazy. And then I also that day passed a guy, Frank Mundis. He was the first one to catch great whites in New York, and his number was 19, and we passed him that day, 19 catches, great white catches in the Atlantic. So it was awesome. I mean, I didn't know how to. I think I don't think I stepped on a boat for like 3 weeks after that. And I was like, it's done. I lost a little motivation after that day, but now I'm back.
Well, isn't that interesting though? Like with great victory, you lost some motivation. It's just crazy how the mind works.
It is. You know what? And if we went out there and we didn't catch anything, I would have been so motivated and said, you know what? We're going to find these damn things no matter what. But the fact that you got to the pinnacle, it's like, okay, now I'm going to take some. And you know what? Now we're going through the same thing. I got skunked the last couple of times we went out. Now I'm studying charts, trying to figure out where these things went. So
it's a cycle.
It is a cycle.
So I'm curious, like, what makes you uniquely different from other sport fishermen? And by that, I'm not saying like greater than or anything, but rather in mindset, perhaps, that has led you to have the success that you've had. Is it being consistent in your resilience? Or
you know what? We have some really, really great fishermen on Hilton Head. I mean, some of our charter fishermen, I think, are better than Charleston, Savannah. Anyway, I mean, we've got guys that catch redfish, and we've got a tarpon guy here that's insane. I mean, he's so good, but there's a lot of interest in the sharks. I mean, the sharks are, we got a whole week on Discovery Channel for them, and that's been very beneficial. Instead of me trying to figure out like the Goliath grouper run, the great whites, I think, attract a lot of attention. But I also don't have any distractions as far as I don't have kids. I've never been married, so I can kind of focus everything I can on, my passion. And fortunately, my girlfriend puts up with it. So it's. I don't know if I'm really separated. I think I just, I think there's some guys that maybe get a little more distracted with going to baseball games or soccer games and stuff where I, that day I'm, figuring a few things out. So it's I've been fortunate that the fish I'm shooting for is so taken by the media.
Yeah. So if y'all haven't noticed, Chip is extremely enthusiastic and warm-hearted, but you also have a very kind heart. And I was just wondering if you could share about the sharks that you named Charlie and Amy.
You know what? It all started. I hope we have enough time, but I just want to tell you a quick story. It all started with Hurricane Matthew, and Hurricane Matthew, devastated the area. And I remember I was sitting in North Carolina, and I wasn't sure if I had a house, if I had a boat. Everything is up in the air. And I wake up in the morning, and I got a text message from a customer. And this may even tear me up saying this. I got a text message from a customer that I've never even met before, and she said, Chip, we were scheduled to go out with you tomorrow, but I'm going to send the check anyway because I don't know if you have a house. I don't know if you have anything, but anything left. But I'm going to send you this check anyway because you may need it more than we do. And her not even knowing me. And I've never even met this one, and she wants to send me money, and I don't even know. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? And I just think, what can I do? Why am I naming these sharks after like sponsors and businesses and states and stuff? That's ridiculous. Why am I not naming these sharks after people that may need a smile on their face, people that may enjoy seeing their name or picture in the paper? And that's when I changed everything. I was like, you know what? I'm going to start doing some things that help the community, kind of like this woman helped me. So, I don't know. Fortunately, I was lucky, with a lot of that stuff. But with a hurricane, I was fortunate. I was able to hold on to my boat and my house. So I was just looking for, things in the community that could, maybe need a smile. Because you know what? There's some people here that go through some horrible, crazy things. And I feel a little guilty with these sharks making national news. I'm doing, what I'm doing is really cool and stuff. But how about this girl that was, killed in a hit and run, or this girl that was hit by a car, or this other girl that was battling cancer? They deserve more, a little more praise than I do. So I think that's where it goes back to.
So with each shark that you tag, you give them a name and then release them.
Correct. With only when I'm doing satellite tagging. So what I do is I'll put a satellite tag on the dorsal fin, and this dorsal fin, once it reaches the surface, it gives its exact location, and I don't satellite tag all of them. I'm only satellite tag a handful a year, but it's easy to identify them when there's a name, and then you go to an app and you can track them and see where they are and so forth. And so it's just easier to identify when they have a name like those.
That's a neat way of giving back to the community.
Trying
and doing that. So tell me one thing that people would be surprised to know about you that they wouldn't otherwise know.
Gosh, I'm a germ freak. This is the part you're definitely going to edit. This is a question I'm used to.
It's okay.
No, this is great. I guess I'm just kind of a boring person, doesn't socialize too much, and I'm okay staying at home and not doing anything for days on end. If my phone doesn't ring for a month, I would be thrilled.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that's my lifeline. That's my secretary book and charter. So it's like when I was in my 20s, I'd do anything for the phone ringing, and now that it's ringing, it's like, no, I don't. Stay at bay, and maybe I'll drop in the pool.
Take a break.
Yeah.
So tell me, how can people find you on social media and also book a trip with you?
I'm on Instagram under Outcast Sport Fishing, Facebook Outcast Sport Fishing. I'm even on Twitter. I hate to admit it, I'm embarrassed to tell you, but I'm even on TikTok. I don't even know if I want to admit that, but I had some charters tell me that, like, Chip, you got to be on TikTok. Like, oh, great. It's a 40-year-old with a bunch of 16-year-old girls dancing around, but it's actually done really well. I got all these new. It's actually been my best way of people finding me now. So it's crazy how times awesome. Change and people use that. So I'm on everything. And if you want to book me, just call any evening. I'm home, any night to answer any questions.
Okay. Do you want to give your number?
843-290-0371. And I'm on the water usually every day, but you can call me any evening.
Okay. So final question that I always ask my guests. What advice would you give to someone whose life was going about seamlessly and it suddenly took a hard left?
That's a really good question. I think the best thing is nobody's going to help you. I mean, you're going to get some pats on the back and, here's some money, but you got to do it yourself. I'm a big believer in, if you want something, if you want it bad enough, you got to open the door and you got to walk. You can't depend on others to help you out. And it also kind of starts, in your head. I think it's really easy for guys and girls to get motivated for a few hours or think of cool ideas. I'm going to start this business, do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this. That's the easy part. The hard part is actually making the phone calls to your accountant saying, I want to set this LLC up, or I want to do this and I want to do that. Taking the steps and And whether it be with an alcohol addiction or trying to start a business, I think it really has to start with you getting motivated to do it yourself instead of relying on others.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yes, this is awesome.
This was so fun.
Yes.
I'm so glad that you are here today. I'm giving you one of our bracelets. If you can, I can.
I like it. I like it.
Slip that on.
Yes,
so again, thank you so much.
Yes, Kim, thank you.
I thank you all for watching and listening today. And if you'd like to nominate somebody to be a guest on If You Can, I Can, please call or text me at 843-368-1300. And go out there, win your day. And remember, if you can, I can.